What's going on, everybody? Bobby Five flying solo until Sheets is able to join us. But wanted to just start off by saying, like, I'm feeling a little bit better today. I'm ready to play, and looking forward to another interesting slate. Last night was weird for me. I only threw one lineup into the cheap stuff, and it ended up cashing pretty deep. Like, I think I was like top 5%, and it had THT in it, who had 0 fantasy points. So I feel like I got the rest of the pieces right, considering the nature of we knew it was sort of going to be a low scoring, weird slate. But anyway, on to today, and going to be playing a little bit bigger today. So ready to get after it. Sheets will be here any minute, and we'll go from there. I do want to warn some people out there. There's a guy who used to be briefly a member with us. He was a member for a long time at RG, who's trying to scam me a little bit. And I, out of my kindness, sent him some money, and now he's trying to scam me everywhere and just requesting money on every possible thing that you could possibly find. As a guy I knew from way back in the day, but I know people hit hard times sometimes in the DFS world and in the poker world, and I think that happened to him. And it's pretty annoying that he's trying to scam me. So just anything from WW Fresh, aka Brooklyn Juice on Twitter, do not respond to it, because he will probably try to target others if he's able to. Anyway.
Wow, that sucks.
Yeah, it's on top of everything else. It's just one of those month and a half where just everything's going bizarrely. So just wanted to mention that before we got into it, because I was waiting for Sheets. And with that said, we can ask Sheets about his night and then go game by game. How was your night, man?
Not so good in the NBA. I did end up cashing the 555 in the hockey, which was okay. But NBA. What did I have? I don't remember what I had, honestly. Who is the highest owned? Oh, I know what I had. I did have some Taylor Horton Tucker.
So that's what I was saying. I had Taylor Horton Tucker, and I played one lineup, but I cashed like 5%, top 5%, even with Taylor Horton Tucker.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like, because I had the Fox, I had the Kuzma, who both went crazy, and then the normal plays like Cam Johnson, Dennis Smith Jr. at 3%, 7X, that kind of stuff. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm ready to get into today.
Yeah, let's talk. It's going to be another one of those uncomfortable like, even the projections, I know we have to trust them to some extent. Just saying that it's a very volatile time, and teams are, we've seen teams even like Toronto, who we're going to get into in a minute, really spread out the minutes as much as they could. And then you had, last game you had Porter leaving with an illness 3 minutes into the game. So just a very strange situation to try to figure out here. So anyway, let's get into it. First up, we have OKC Toronto, of course, the game that Sheets, why don't you start this one off? I'm struggling with this personally. I also, after watching that Toronto team, I'm just afraid they can't score more than like 70 points.
First of all, you have three games with like a 12-point spread on this card, which is pretty this is pretty interesting, to say the least. And this is one of them. OKC's a 13-point favorite. Does have a okay total, I guess, of 230. In current runs, I'm just I have no choice. I have to get to these guys so far. So they're not my highest owned players, but I'm getting a good amount, at least over 20%, of Kelly Olynyk and Gary Trent and Grady Dick and Jonte Porter again. And I'm not particularly getting to much of anybody else. And I'm not getting to Shea this time. I'm getting 15%, if that means getting to him, whatever. Mm-hmm. And I am getting more Jalen Williams than I am to Shea.
Yeah. It's a strange situation, because I think if you play anybody from OKC, you probably should be trying to find the right group from Toronto to get at least 3, because I just can't. I don't know. I watched this Toronto team play a couple times like this. I don't know if they can even hang in a game long enough. This is not an NBA roster, as I mentioned before. There really is like nobody that would be better than like the 6th best player on a decent NBA team, maybe 5th if you want to argue Bruce Brown. Grady Dick will be in it, I guess, and Gary Trent. These are guys who are functional pieces Olynyk. But when you just have nobody to run your offense through, it's really, really hard to stay in games. I'll probably do the same thing I continue to do, which is bet against the team even though Toronto has a 13.5-point underdog. I'll take OKC in the points, and I don't know how they can stop OKC, but I also don't know how they're going to score enough points. So I'm really trying to figure this one out. I don't think, as of right now, I can't imagine that I'm going to end up playing anybody from OKC. We'll see by the end of the slate. I certainly understand the arguments for Shea and Jalen Williams and Josh Giddey and Chet Holmgren. All those guys are fine, but I just worry about this game. So Porter off the bench is going to project the best. I guess that's the one that I'll right now would be eating a little bit of. Jordan Nwora, again, will project next. In addition to everybody they had out the other night, we also have actually we don't have anybody else out. No, we don't. But so Porter and Nwora I have as the priority ones, along with Grady Dick. But I am completely open to swapping that around. And it is interesting that, whenever you have the two best players projected that are coming off the bench with an undefined role, it's always a little bit scary. So Porter, Nwora, and Dick is my three favorites right now. But I'm going to hopefully by the end of the day have enough to where I don't have to play like 3 or 4 Torontos. I hopefully keep it to 1 or 2. And probably skip the OKC side. How about and then we have another situation. This is the one where you've got a bunch of guys out who weren't even out before. And you've got, as usual, everybody questionable for the Celtics, guaranteeing at least one of them are going to sit, probably 2. So it's going to be hard to analyze this one.
Well, I mean, the good thing is it's a 7 o'clock game. That's the best I can say. Well, here are some things that I know to be true. Is that if this game stays close, Cade Cunningham is probably going to have a good game. That's one thing. The second thing, that's really all I know to be true. I don't know who's playing. I don't know who's out. I think it's kind of just a waste of energy to speculate. But listen, we could speculate in the fact that someone's going to get out. You know what I mean? Be ruled out for Boston.
We already have Holiday out too.
And we have Holiday out already.
Yeah.
Detroit, Amudi is out. I mean, Fontecchio is out. Amin Thompson is out. That other guy that they started is not out. The Ev Buhlman, whatever. He did play. He did exactly what we thought. He played 30 minutes and scored 16 fantasy points. However, you give me 30 points, I'm going to have to try it. 30 minutes, I'm going to have to try it. The other guy that I can't imagine him really being the value at the end of the day, but right now it's Troy Brown Jr. At 3K, and right now I'd be getting like 55% of him. Like, for example, again, it could be the case, but I honestly couldn't say. I'm curious what I would do with him, like if he's not starting, for example. Like if he starts, I'm going to have to probably try to do it at 3K. But if he's not starting, I don't know what I would do. What are your thoughts on Detroit? I guess you can't really speculate on Boston at all.
Yeah, Boston. I'll just say that without, even if everybody played as of right now, I probably would be overweight Peyton Pritchard, just because of he tends to play the blowout run. We know he's got a ceiling. He put up, we saw a big number in a similar spot the other night without Drew Holiday. I think we can take shots with Peyton Pritchard, and my guess is this is going to be a meaningless because he's going to look like a really good play by the time. Probably by the time the shoot around's done, to be honest with you. So we're gonna have to see. Wait and see. But the Troy Brown thing always makes me a little bit uncomfortable. But he does play minutes. You're risking a low number, but he's 3K. It's 3K is 3K. So I have it Brown, Beaumont. I actually think Beaumont I prefer a little bit over Brown. And just because, again, I'd rather, it's the devil you don't know. We also have Chimezie Metu back in our lives as value, and I would rather play Metu. At the moment, I think I'd rather play Metu than Fournier, and I think I would consider playing Metu instead of Troy Brown. I think you're going to end up with one or two at least, maybe one, maybe even 3 of Detroit's by the end of the day, potentially. I'm shocked by this projection of Cade Cunningham. Okay, I know it's Boston. I know it's a tough thing. I know they'll pull him early possibly and all that stuff. But 8,200 to be completely unowned, I'm sort of with you. I think Cunningham is going to be interesting. And I think, like, look, let's just say that the Celtics don't need to really do anything. They can sit, if they sit a couple guys, we might be looking at a game stack here and just hoping it stays close. The problem is when the Celtics hit guys, it's not like they don't just keep beating the hell out of teams anyway. But I do think that Cade Cunningham and Jalen Duren at low ownership, pretending the game stays close, is sort of a different narrative than what's built into the projections. Maybe that's not a bad way to go. So these two games right off the bat are going to be very interesting to determine what value we have. And we're going to see what else comes up after, shoot around. But the majority of the value you're getting, the top 4 players point per dollar on the slate are in the Detroit-Toronto games. And I do think we're going to have some exposure to that, depending on what opens up later, of course. Fournier is the least interesting one to me, but again, you can always take a shot. He gets minutes and occasionally can hit threes and Boston, whatever. Maybe it's been burned too many times, but it just feels like beating your head against a wall. Like, why are we trying to force in Fournier off the bench, who's going to play 20 minutes? And he had one game in his last 11 that we could use. They have less guys, but it's not like he's like a part of their future. They're trying to build with him. You'd think they'd play more of the young guys in this one. Anyway, you got Memphis, San Antonio next?
Yeah.
All right, go and what do you like there?
Well, you have what's his name is going to be out, Desmond Bane. Continue to watch all this injury news. Well, Vince Williams is doubtful, and then currently I'm getting Gregory Jackson and John Conchar. I don't even know if John Conchar is playing. So that's another one. I mean, you watch the board, watch the injury. And this is an 8:00 game, so it's a little trickier. But I would definitely take a look at that. Trey Jones, I'm getting sprinkles of maybe on the San Antonio side, but I don't know. I mean, is Wembanyama a terrible play at 10-6? I mean, I'm not getting to him right now, but actually, I'm getting what am I getting? I'm getting some. I'm getting like 5% or something like that. So again, watch for injury news on Memphis, I suppose, and pretty much all I have from this.
Yeah, Conchar and Pippen, that could open up some more stuff. You might see DeJon Giroux is kind of interesting to me as a play. We talked about it a little bit before, but now we have Bane out, and we had Bane out for a while, but they've given this Giroux some minutes here and there. I'm struggling with the Laravia plays and the Aldama and all that. I think Gigi Jackson is the one that you go with right now. But I love Jaren Jackson as a tournament play. This game could stay close. Remember, we've been worried about games with Memphis because they can't stay close, but they're playing San Antonio. If there was a game that could stay close, it would be this one. I like Triple J a little bit. I also worry about the foul trouble, and I know there's other plays in the slate, but I think that he sort of in that same mold as Cunningham. There's a massive ceiling here that people aren't going to play. So I like that. I think Wemby is going to be pretty well owned tonight. This has been one of the worst teams inside, worst rebounding team in the league. This is the kind of game where you could see Wemby with 20 rebounds. So I have Wemby as my favorite of the Spurs right now, but I do also want to point out that Trey Jones, I feel like, is continually getting a little bit under projected, and it's shown some ceiling lately. So Wemby, I have it Wemby, then Trey Jones, then Keldon Johnson, then Vassell, but a little bit of interest in all of them, to be honest with you. Obviously not going to probably end up playing all of them, but I do think I'm going to end up with something from the Spurs here today to run back. And another game that, if things break a certain way with Memphis value, if Conchar and Pippen are out, maybe a game that we're talking about stacking later today, which is really gross. But as you guys know from DFS, sometimes you have to stack the really gross ones that make the most sense. All right. Let's move over to New Orleans and Miami. One of the few games that's supposed to be close tonight, other than actually San Antonio is supposed to be close-ish. But this is the other one.
I mean, you have a Q tag on Bam. So, and whether he's in or out matters. If he's out, then you have to worry about those Thomas Bryants and Orlando Robinsons and Jaime Jaquez and all that stuff. So that's that. Butler had a really, really nice game. His last games almost kind of out of nowhere. He looks reasonable enough with a 5x projection, I suppose. I just don't know what I'm really doing here. Anybody on New Orleans? Not really. I don't know. The game feels like a pass unless Bam is out. No.
I disagree. I really like with no Brandon Ingram. I'm going to play probably.
Oh, I didn't even have that. That's so funny. I don't even.
Yeah, but it's on there. Like it's incorporated into the projections. But McCollum is 6,500.
It's so weird. Okay.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, obviously it's a bad matchup, but McCollum is 6,500, and there's no Ingram. I think that's interesting enough. And I think that Zion at low ownership is also interesting. I actually had McCollum as like a cash game-ish play. I think Trey Murphy also is really interesting here. Again, we don't have that many games that are projected to stay all that close. Not to say that some of them won't, but we saw it the other night where basically every game was a blowout. This could end up being a similar situation. On the Miami side, I do like Jimmy Butler regardless of whether Bam plays. Now, I don't think he's like you have to play him. I'm just trying to build my list of guys I want to consider. He's one of them. And I also would consider Rozier. If Bam doesn't play, which they're really hedging because obviously they don't know. Like you could see the projection would never be 37 for Bam here. It would always be 40 something. So I think that if Bam doesn't play, we have to go back to some of the other stuff. The difference being that the other night they were able to play small and use Jovic in the closing lineup. What I would say is that tonight, like I played Thomas Bryant the other night and he was fine. He put up 20 fantasy points. He actually would have had he only played like 16 minutes. But I think those minutes have to go up when you have Zion on the other side, as well as, of course, for Joval. And it's just so weird. I know that they're not giving him the minutes, but at some point, I'm just ready for the Joval explosion at 4,900. It's just going to happen one of these days. This is probably not the time to do it. But maybe this game, again, another game that you could consider potentially maybe mini stacking with, if Bam is out, Bryant and Butler or Jaquez or something like that, to run back with McCollum and potentially, Joval's probably a reach because they're just not giving him the minutes, but maybe with McCollum or Zion. So yeah, it's going to depend on what happens with Bam. And I will, like I said, I'm probably going to go right back to playing some Thomas Bryant and potentially some Orlando Robinson, just because they're going to need some more size to deal. Like Jovic is going to guard Zion. I don't really know how that's going to work. I guess they'll try to put Jaquez on him. Maybe they'll try to put Jimmy on him. Doesn't seem like they're going to do that this early, at least not consistently. So really trying to figure out who's going to try and guard him. So it makes sense that they would try and go a little bigger, in my opinion. We'll see. We'll see when with Bam out later. Hopefully we get that news early.
Yeah, if Bam is out, then I do think that it could be that $4,900 Joval. I mean, I don't know who's going to guard him.
Yeah,
I say that. I mean, when's the last time he did anything?
The problem is they just aren't giving him, like, he hasn't played 20 minutes in 7-8 games. They're just not. Yeah. He's just sort of faded out from their stuff with Zion back.
Right.
I think we need to wait. We might need to wait for Zion to be out, and then we'll get an incredible price. But then again, everyone else in the industry will. So.
But yeah, I'll see if the other projections maybe change later. But I mean, right now, it's just a little bit of Trey Murphy for me, and it's he said it doesn't make any sense. I mean, with Ingram out, this is supposed to. Other guys are supposed to show up a little bit.
Yeah, and we know that there's always a bust path with McCollum, but there's also upside, and same with Zion, and it's a tough matchup. But they just played Orlando. It's not as tough of a matchup as Orlando, I don't think. They got housed. By the way, that was a good cut. That was like my one betting thing that I said, this is ridiculous. Why is New Orleans a favorite over Orlando? And of course, Orlando wins by 30 or 20 something. All right, Indiana and Golden State. One of the better cases.
I have Cleveland, Minnesota.
I'm sorry. Okay, Cleveland, Minnesota.
It doesn't matter because I don't have anybody from that game.
Yeah, I'm having trouble with the Cleveland, Minnesota too. Except
you have another questionable tag in Anthony Edwards. So it's a left middle finger.
It's not.
He'll play.
He played on the back-to-back the other night against Denver.
Dude, he goes to the locker room like he's going to be out for the season, and he's out in 5 minutes. He's back in 5 minutes.
Yeah, he's back exactly. I guess if anything from this game, Okoro as a potential value play. Not the most exciting thing in the world for sure. But I'm more interested in the Will Gobert play than Bam, because that does some other things. And we've also got Naz Reid. So it's really hard to analyze with all three of those guys questionable. I'm going to assume Edwards plays, but Gobert has been missing time. Like it's not like he's been playing. So Kyle Anderson is probably going to look like a good play if Gobert and Reid are out, especially. I will like Reid if Gobert is out. So a lot depends on the Reid Gobert, and try to get a better feel for that before 6 Eastern. Because right now it's a little bit hard to define, and nobody who's a priority at the moment for me in this game. Just going to have to wait and see what happens with the information if we can get it. By the way, is anybody going to play under golf today? Everybody's just shooting. What, they're going to shoot all 74s?
Well, I know my guys are. I don't know about everybody else is.
It feels like I think everybody is like hating their stuff right now because it's just all.
And then what's going to happen is the weather's going to clear up and it's going to be beautiful at the end of the day.
I know, and it might be the first time in like the last 2 years where the afternoon wave shoots better than the morning wave. All right, Clippers in Portland. Oh wait, Clippers in Portland.
Clippers in Portland. I'm getting like a weird, like kind of one-off guy at 30% right now, and that would be Scoot Henderson. I don't know exactly why, where, what, or whoever, but I mean Simons is probable. So I don't know exactly why, but let's see.
That's basically what he's
just played. Let's play 35 and 30 minutes in the last 2 games, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, Scoot Henderson looks pretty good. Aside from that, I mean, nothing here looks that enticing. Anything stand out to you? Paul George, 8,400. I guess fair enough. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm confused by the projection on Chris Murray. I think it's a little too low. 3,800 starting. Playing what he played 32, 26, 26, 35, 34. And he's projected for minutes wise 26. I think there's room for upside on that. And I think there's room for upside on being more productive than 18 fantasy points. So both Murray and Kamara are on the like, okay, that's other value we can use, or if you want to delay, that's a value you can use, but not like, priorities for me. And then, Scoot Henderson, I as of right now, just because we don't have value and we have Simons is probable, so I don't think he's going to miss. But I mean, just with the lack of value, I do think Scoot Henderson is a solid play, and I actually have him in my list, a list of guys to play today. Clippers can't get to anything really. The only guy I really considered was Zubac, and probably not going to end up doing that either. But I don't mind the Zubac idea. But it's maybe a little bit fringy. All right, Indy Golden State now.
Yeah. By the way, the one good call I had yesterday was on the Damian Lillard. He had a
great game. Yeah,
and no ownership. That was nice.
The only problem was you had to pay more for him than De'Aaron Fox, who scored 60. Yeah, scored
something like that.
Yeah,
hey, play them both. But anyway,
I know. I played Brunson instead, who looked like he was going to do it, but he, still did well.
Indiana, Golden State. I mean, you use this term price and force sometime. At some point, I have to play Steph Curry. He's 8,600. I thought about it the other day, but the other day he was fighting like 7 different point guards that looked really, really good. I don't know. Maybe this is the day. So at home against Halliburton, he might. It hasn't happened in a while, I guess, but maybe this is the day. As far as Indiana, if you want to take a shot at the backup center roulette wheel, I guess you could try that. But aside from that, I'm not getting too much. It looks like just Curry or nothing for me.
So I'm curious how you come up with Curry but don't come up with Halliburton.
Yeah, I don't know either.
That's what I'm trying to. It's a weird. It just feels like this is the. So like the Curry thing, we've seen it gain traction. What did he score? 20 fantasy points in the last game. We keep seeing this gain traction, and his projection looked good, and basically never gets there. I have no problem with playing a guy who doesn't get there, but playing him at 25% ownership and making him a better play than the other. I think there are other good guards, and I think that Halliburton is one of them.
You can play them both.
Halliburton was going to. Yeah, you could play them both. I don't think they're as good. I don't think either of them. I mean, I think Maxi's a better play than either of them. So I think it's the same situation as the other day for me. I like Halliburton. I'm fine with Curry, but I don't love that if the ownership sticks, it's just not going to feel great. You have Jalen Smith, who didn't even get the DNP CD the other day. And he's projected as being 25% owned. Sort of, he's our Taylor Horton Tucker for the night, I guess.
Love
but you know what? We maybe we have Isaiah Jackson. I don't understand what's happening. So Isaiah Jackson is not out officially, but he has a 0 projection. So I'm just trying to understand. I want to do. I think that the projections are off on Indiana. I want to go through it later. Regardless of that, the guys I do like in this game are Siakam, Halliburton on the Indiana side. I also don't mind if you wanted to take your McConnell shots. This is probably a decent enough place to do it. A team that plays 3 guards, you could see him out there a little bit longer. I could tell myself a story that makes sense for that. I could also do the same with Aaron Nesmith. All of them are just fine, but the ones I like a little bit are Halliburton, Siakam, Curry, and then Clay would be my interest level on the other side. I don't mind if you wanted to take a shot with Trace Jackson Davis, but probably not for me. It's just probably going to be Curry or Clay. And honestly, I think I like the idea of a lower owned, better play in the next game.
Well, let's get into it then. You already kind of buried the lead a little bit by talking about it, so I'll let you talk about the Tyrese Maxey. I happen to like Anthony Davis in this game. I'm getting currently a good amount of him, like 30% of him maybe. So that's what I'm doing. And you tell me, you like Maxey in this spot?
Look, I mean, he had the one horrible game the other night. Other than that, like he's been pretty good for the most part. He's had a couple of duds, but mostly he's been in that 45 to 50 plus range, which is totally reasonable for his price. And there's a monster ceiling, especially there's a chance to. I know he did struggle without Tobias Harris the other night, but if Tobias Harris sits, probably even more of a boost for him. So I do like Maxey. I think that Maxey might actually be a better. Maxey Halliburton is like a thing I was trying to figure out, and then I guess you throw Curry into the mix also. But Maxey, Halliburton, Curry are all interesting in that same price point, and I do like Maxey. I think his upside is very high here, and I think that the Lakers still, without Vanderbilt, don't have a great way of guarding point guards. I like Anthony Davis too, and I'm with you there. I think that that's a reasonable spend up now. Shea gets there at a similar price more often than he does, like to 55 or 60. So something to consider. But I do think that this is a especially good matchup for Davis. And I don't mind LeBron either. But I would set my hopes here for Davis and live with that. So as a sum up for me, really quick.
Wait, before you do that, any Kyle Lowry?
Did I miss something with Kyle Lowry?
I don't know. He's 4,700 and played 35 minutes 2 games ago and 30 games.
That's pretty much as high. This is about as high as he's been all year, I think.
Yeah, I know. 30 minutes 2 games before that. I don't know.
No.
Okay.
For me, it just doesn't feel like the right thing to do. But also, remember that we had no Harris for 2 of those games, but we still might not have Harris tonight. So I guess that factors in. I think if I was going to play a Kyle Lowry play or something, I might get a little bit more bold. Well, actually, I guess Lowry is kind of bold. No one's going to play him. I guess it's fine. I just didn't see him as it's fine. So I've got right now, I've got like 1 to 3 of the Raptors, 1 to 3 of the Detroits. That's just because the value that's so obvious. Other plays that I very much like today. So I like Gigi Jackson. I like Scoot Henderson's price. I like CJ McCollum. I like Tyrese Max. One of the Maxey, Halliburton, Curry, at least, potentially 2 of them. Other names that came across we have to look out for later. Giroux, Triple J, Pritchard, Butler, Okoro. Zubac. So that's the pool I'm sort of looking at with my players right now. And what are you getting so far? So you're
so I kind of was saying as I went through it, but like right now, first of all, it's going to depend on that on all the Boston stuff. But I was getting to Troy Brown Jr. right now, like for example, I was getting those 2 Memphis guys for now. You know, the 50%, the 30% of the Scoot Henderson or whatever. So I just think that when the Detroit news comes out, you know, and you get Boston news comes out, then you get Detroit starters or whatever it is. We'll just be able to figure it out. You know, if Gobert is out, for example, maybe something happens in Minnesota. You know, maybe you're playing Nazir or whatever. So listen, it is good to get at least a sense for what the slate's going to look like. But at the end of the day, I mean, like, we should have most of what we need by lock. So we'll look forward to that.
Yep, absolutely. And just for what it's worth, guys, we got MLB coming back pretty soon. I want to say that we've got the promo code MLB24 for 24% off your first month for new users.
24, I like it.
MLB24, thank you. That was mine. And as I watch Taylor Moore get to over,
as you watch Taylor Moore hit 24 over.
Yeah, that one over, but still, yeah, it feels like it. Anyway, guys, good luck to everybody. We'll see you guys at 6 o'clock Eastern, and let's get after it tonight. Let's get things on the right track, and hopefully I'll still be functional, feeling a little bit better so far. So.